You guys have 4? 4 days, right? 4 days. 4 days till when? 4 days till when? Huh? No, not 4 days till school starts. You have 4 days until the greatest opportunity of the entire years will begin right now. Like the greatest opportunities you have to make an impact on other people's life will start in 4 days from now. I promise you, all right, that you will, well, I guess it would technically be on that 5th day would it start, right? So you have 4 days and then the 5th day. Thank you for correcting me, Jackson. I appreciate that. Now, what we want to talk about here today, and this is really important for you guys. This is really important for all of you here. Man, it's all of our high school. Where's all our, half of my stuff I'm talking about tonight is going for middle school. That's all right. We'll just, we'll regroup because the majority of you already know what this stuff should be about. So for some of you, this is just going to be a good recap night, okay? And we're just have a little fun together, have a good time, and it'll just be a little, like, get everything ready. But again, guys, look around. We have to get ready. We have 2 weeks to get ready for some really, really great things to start taking place. And so tonight we are just going to be talking about Exodus and remembering the reason of Exodus. Remember why we do Wednesday nights. Remembering the whole point of what we do. Now, this should be easy for you older people, all right? FSM, First Student Ministry, our whole 2 goals, right, is to what? Know Christ and make Christ known, okay? That is what we are about because that is what Jesus was about. That is what his old gospel was about. We want to know Christ. We want you guys to grow in your relationship with Christ, and we want you to have opportunities to make Christ known. Wednesday nights will be the easiest opportunities you guys have to make Christ known to your friends. And I want you to hear me on this because I'm not lying. Than it ever will be the rest of your life. After you graduate high school, it'll just get harder and harder and harder to share your faith with other people, to invite other people to church, and just to reach out to your friends. Gary, am I lying on that? No. Gary graduated, right? When you're in high school, it's easy for a friend to invite you or for you to invite somebody, right? When you graduate, all of a sudden you're not seeing those same people day after day, and it gets a little tricky. It gets a little harder. And so I promise you, I'm not lying to you about that. This is going to be the easiest way for you guys. And so it's all a matter of what you guys want out of this school year and that you understand what we are doing. So today is just going to kind of be like I didn't want to call it Exodus yet. So we're like, maybe it's like a preseason. Maybe it's like training camp right now. Training camp, you kind of get back to the basics. How many of you guys just started sports back up for the fall? Who went to their first practice so far? I know a few of you guys just started back up. When you first get back in there, the coach is just kind of like, hey, let's get back in the motions of things. Let's kind of go through. Let's regroup. Let's get things prepared. Like, we're just working on passes. We're just working on some runs. We're just working on getting our lungs back in gear. That is what I want us to think about here today. So let's talk real fast about Exodus, all right? Back to the basics of why we do what we do on Wednesday nights. So the first thing, why we do what we do, why we do what we do. Did I say why we do what did I just say? Why we do? All right. Why we do what we do. Well, if you will put that slide up there, because I put something different on the slide than on my notes. So the first thing of like the basics of Exodus is we want people to just be able to have fun and be a place that people enjoy coming to. That's like a really plain and sounds so simple, but if we are encouraging you guys to invite your friends, if we are saying, hey, I know it's not easy to make that invite. Sometimes it's like you kind of make that step of like, I don't want them to think I'm the weird one, but I also want my friends to know who Jesus is. And you're willing to make that step. When you bring them here, this should be a place that you are able to have fun, that you guys are able to have fun, that you feel comfortable coming to, but it's also a place that other people can enjoy. One of my favorite things is when you guys bring friends, and that friend's never been to church before, and I get asked this all the time when people come here, like, hey, I don't know if I really believe in Jesus. Is it okay if I keep coming back? Of course it is, because we want them to be here. Or maybe it's, hey, I haven't been in here a long time, and, I felt really silly coming back. No. Wednesday nights, and anytime we're down here, should be the safest place you or any of your friends come to. And this is really important, guys. You're thinking, like, why are we even talking about this? Because we know that most people won't come to church because they think they're going to be judged. People come here, it should be the last thing they feel. You have to deal with all that stuff at school, and how do I look, and what do I do, and do people think this, and am I this, and we're always worried about all this stuff, but when people come here, it should be a place where, like, I can have fun, I don't have to worry about acting like I'm too cool, or like, well, I like this worship song, but I'm kind of act disinterested because I don't want to be, like, too into it. We have all of these, like, weird things we build up around ourselves. And so one of my favorite verses is in Hebrews 10 when it's talking about the church. We've shared this before. We've talked about it before. But in Hebrews chapter 10, you can follow along up here. He's writing to the church, right? And he says, let us consider how we may motivate. Let us consider how we motivate one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting. Okay, let's get back in the habit. Look around, people. Look around. Does this look like upper class? Does this look like a normal Wednesday night crowd at Exodus? No. We got to get back in the habit of meeting together on Wednesday nights, but also encouraging one another all the day more as you see the day approaching. He's just talking about until Jesus comes back. This is what, and Paul is writing this, saying this is what the church should be about. So students, for you guys, that is what I love about church. I think it should be a place where it's like, man, I have fun there. I get encouraged there. I feel like when I leave Wednesday night, I feel like I'm ready for something more on Thursday. Whatever that is, just that's what this place should be about. And so that's why we do what we do. When people ask, like, why do we play games? Why do we do some of the stuff that we do? Because we want people to feel loved here. We want to have fun here. We want to be encouraging here. And we want it to be a place that they feel comfortable and have a good time. And so whenever you start thinking about this, whenever you bring a friend, one of your natural tendencies that we've always noticed is, and I'm just going to pick on Jackson because you're right here in front of me. If Jackson invites Quinn for the first time, here's what can happen a lot. And some of you have seen this happen, or you may even have been guilty of doing this, right? Maybe normally Jackson comes and he's like, yeah, and has a blast, and he's normally standing on his chair singing, or he's like the first one of the game, but he brings a friend, and let's say Quinn's his friend, right? And then all of a sudden he's like, well, I don't want Quinn to think like I'm too into this. So we see this a lot, and you guys have seen this before, where all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is just a game, whatever. And they start messing around, or he starts talking to Quinn and messing with them, and, just not being a part of what we're doing, right? Because he's kind of like, well, I'm not too into this. I'm not like, and that's not what we're about at Exodus, right? Because if you do that, what's Quinn going to get out of the night? Who's nothing? Someone said nothing. Yeah, you're exactly right. And then Quinn, if you came to a church and you've never been to church before, but you came with someone and all they did was mess around the whole time and acted like it was stupid, or like they just started making fun of other people, what would you think about church if that was your only example you had? Like, would you want to come back? Just shake your head. Would you want to come back, or would you be like, why do I go? Why does he go? It doesn't make sense. And so we want you guys to have fun. Older students, since we didn't get to do this at camp, you juniors, seniors, upcoming sophomores even, you guys set the tone for that so much. If middle school sees you guys messing around and not being a part of things, guess what they're going to do? Anybody want to take a guess? Well, maybe the exact opposite so they can look better. Or they're going to be like, well, these guys, if they're not clapping, if they're not having fun during the game, if they're not. What was that? Oh, I thought there was someone at the door. It's a good thing I didn't run. Did he just leave us? So, I want you guys to think about that, okay? So we're going to have a little fun here. We just have a really quick game because it's, honestly, I thought there'd be more people, but we'll still play anyway. It's still going to be a good time. So I want you guys to stand up. We're going to play a little Face Booty Awesome, Volume 6, all right? Volume 6, people. That means we've done 5 of these so far. So you guys know the rules. Now, it's training camp, right? This is training camp. I'm going to pick on somebody else because my buddy Quinn gets embarrassed really easily here. So, I'll just use Cece here, all right? Cece came. Cece's never been to church before, all right? Marin invited Cece. We play a game. Marin, what should your first, all right? Because it's training camp, all right? So we want to make sure all of our players know what we're doing. You bring a friend and we play a game. What should your reaction be to Cece, who's never been to church before? Yeah, get up. Hey, it's going to be fun. Play the game. Don't worry. Like, it's going to be a good time. She's encouraging. Marin, if you go like, oh, so stupid, whatever. I mean, it's, knowing every time Cece's not here, you're like the first one up. But if you're like, no, whatever, I guess we'll play. Like, what's your friend going to think? Yeah, she's going to be like, why does Marin invite me to this if she acts like it's stupid, right? So keep that in mind. So let's have some fun here. And, if like senior girls always complain that I cheat and I favor the boys over them, what's that going to say to your friends? It's going to say that it's true and I like them, all right? Now, I'm kidding. Hey, let's play real quick. So you guys know what to do. We're going to show a quick clip. If you think they're going to land on their face, cover your face. If you think they're going to land on the booty, cover your booty. If you think it's going to be awesome, raise your hands to awesome, all right? Now, if I see anybody not playing along, I'll call you out on it because that's what a coach would do if his players do not play along. So y'all better be a part of this because this is not really Exodus. This is our training camp. So, Will, play that first one, please. Oh, that's a mom running down a sandy hill. What do you think's going to happen? No one has confidence that mom's going to do like a backflip or anything. All right, everybody cover up. What do we got? Okay, go ahead, Will. I think we got ours. And boosh! All right. If you said anything other than face, sit down. If you said anything other than face, sit down. All right, go to the next one, Will. Go to the next one. Looks like a little Quinn when he was like 5 years old. Little Quinn, I know, too soon, man. I don't know either. I mean, the redhead boy could land a flip and the other girl could fall. I don't know what's going to happen here. So just pick one. Go ahead, Quinn, go ahead. But the boy landed. I don't know. Yeah, you know what? If you said awesome or face, you're still alive because, I mean, that was like a little 6-year-old landed a backflip. That was pretty sweet. All right, go ahead, go to the next one. He's sliding across the floor in the kitchen of what appears to be a Fazoli's, we'll say. What do we think? Pick something. All right, Will, what do we got? I'm saying booty. He's definitely falling. Oh, face! Oh, who said face? Did anybody say face? Wait, you're holding your ears. What are you doing? Hey, I think you might have picked something else. Is everybody out? Oh, well. You guys all lost then. It was just a training camp, so we'll save that for next week. We'll do the rest on Sunday. How about that? You all lost. Congratulations. None of you get a prize. I didn't have a prize anyway because I'm saving my budget for Exodus, so you didn't really lose anything. Now, hey, we want you guys to have fun. We want it to be a good time, so The good thing is I didn't have to throw a penalty flag on any of you. I didn't have to blow my whistle because everybody participated. Hey, I know I'm joking about some of this stuff, but guys, it is really, really important as you invite friends to make sure your friends are always super comfortable, to make sure your friends are always having a good time here. The more you are participating and playing along, the better they're going to do. How many of you have been over to a friend's house for the very first time? Like, you remember, like, you came over and you walked in their house when they weren't home yet. Has anybody ever done that? Or they had to, like, go upstairs to do something for a while and you were just, like, left downstairs. Has anybody felt that? Okay, how awkward is it when you're the only one standing there? It's super weird, right? Or they're like, oh, don't worry about it, my parents won't care. And you're like, no, this is really weird. That is the same thing when you invite someone and you just act like it doesn't matter. You're like, this is awkward for me now. Like, you invited me to church and now you're just like left, or you're not participating, or you're just messing around. So keep that in mind, because Exodus is a place that we want to be able to reach out to other people. All right? So keep that in mind at all times. We do have a couple of quick announcements that we're going to do. Just real fast. We're actually probably going to be removing this part of Exodus normally and just do like one big thing. Whatever your one big announcement will be, that's all we're doing at Exodus from now on. But we do have a couple of important things. So first thing, Happy Bottoms. This Sunday, Happy Bottoms, this Sunday, we will eat lunch here and then we will leave. You need to make sure, like, how many of you guys plan on going to that? So our adult leaders will be driving. Students will not be driving. And we also have the church bus. Oh, now you're not going? Is that? I'm done. Raise your hand real quick so I can see. We'll have the church bus and we'll have adult leaders driving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're going. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Anybody back there? I counted you. All right, so what about 25 so far? I know there's a few others that already let me know they were going. So right now we have about 30 people total, which is great. Now, hey, even if you don't know for sure and you find out you can on Sunday, you can still join us. So don't worry about that. We just want to make sure we have plenty of rides and leaders that are driving. So, do what? Yeah, and maybe if your family wants to come and go and they want to drive separately but follow us, they can come apart. I know all of you are like, oh, I'm dying to invite my mom and dad. But for those of you that want, please do. And we will make sure families know when we send out an email tomorrow about all of that. And remember, hey, you can bring diapers on Sunday with you. I know some of you brought a few diapers tonight or a couple days ago, so thank you for that. And then don't worry about signing up. Do what? Yeah, Lily's got a lot, so great. What's the other one? We have one other quick thing. Any 6th grade girls here? Okay, a couple of you. Remember, there's a 6th grade girl movie night tonight, or not tonight. Don't go tonight. At Andrew's house. Everybody show up. Friday night, there are flyers out on the table out front if you need stuff. And also, all 6th grade parents got emails today about that information. So go out and join them. That's everything. I do want to, and this is where it does help for some of you guys. I'm going to have Marin and Colin come up here. A few years ago, Andrew and I started something just with our student ministry leadership team. And we invited a handful of seniors originally to, like, hey, if you want to help plan Exodus, if you want to be a part of some of our leadership, whenever we do like retreats, I want some of our students to be a part of planning those things, of helping create, like, what games do you guys, when we do our shirts and designs, there's a whole argument about what color and what design looks great, but we eventually get to something, or I just pick something and say there's too many people arguing. But it's a lot of fun. We meet Wednesdays, usually about an hour before service starts. But it is a good way for you guys to have some ownership of this. And we've been doing this for a while, and some people are still here, some people graduated, and so we are starting completely fresh. And this is going to be for anybody that's in high school. You're going into high school, being a part of the student leadership team. And so we're kind of wiping everything clean and starting over. And so I asked these two to come up because they have been a part of this for a while now, just to share and say, hey, why do you enjoy it and what have you gotten out of this? And so they're going to share, and I want you guys to all hear, even if you're like, oh, I could never do that, I don't know. Be challenged, because a few of our guys used to be the most quiet guys in the entire student ministry, and now he's up on stage yelling like crazy, doing welcome and games and stuff. So I'm going to let Colin go first, and then I'll let Marin, all right? Colin, just share why it's been good for you and what you've gotten out of it.
So, yeah, I was one of those guys that was really quiet, and then I guess one day on online church or Exodus, Rob was just talking about getting involved, and I just texted him and said, hey, can I join the leadership team? He's like, sure. And I really didn't know what I was getting into, but turned out good. But but what I really like about the leadership team, is that it's a bunch of high schoolers that are all gathered together just to build each other up and to grow, not just only in their faith, but also help other people grow in their faith. And I also really like, it's rewarding for me because I like to see how the leadership team, when we plan stuff or we come up here and talk like this, or just anything really, how we can influence everyone else in their relationship with Christ. But personally, when that happens, it also builds me up. So, yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so kind of just to echo what Colin said, like as a part of the leadership team, it's really cool to get to work with others. So you get to form relationships with other high schoolers that you might not have done, and just encourage each other and be challenged as a leader, like being pushed to come talk up on stage, and do things that you never knew that you would do. But also for me, I love to plan and organize events. So one thing that's really cool is we get to help with themes of Exoduses and stuff like that. And even Glowtober, like we got to see that be an idea that we brainstormed and then like happen. And so that's just something that's really cool to be a part of. So yeah, I think we have a video to watch really quick and then we'll continue.
So normally that would go into worship, okay? I want to just talk real fast, and we're gonna do a couple worship songs here. Brett came down because Andrew was not able to be here. But a big part of what we do at Exodus, if we're looking at the basics, all right, we want you to have fun. We want you to have a good time. We want your friends to feel welcomed. We want them greeted by a smiling leader or a student. We want them to have fun in the gym before they get in here. Come in here and be a part of things, play some games, have a good time. But the second thing of what we're really about here is just to have a place to worship and to learn together. And so that is something that's going to be key for you guys to really think about as you're worshiping, because worshiping can kind of be a part of two things. One, it's going to allow you to have a place where you can just be grateful for what God has done in your life, to sing that out and with music. And it also allows a time to reflect, to like maybe God's doing something on your heart, and worship allows that as an opportunity. Over and over and over in Psalms 95, if you want to pop that up there. In Psalms 95, and all throughout Psalms, it just talks about worship. But this is one because I feel like it is good for maybe people that can't sing that well, but still want to be a part of worship, all right? Because he says, let us shout joyfully. Okay, so those of you that do not have just the gift of a beautiful voice when you sing, I just want you to see that it is biblically responsible and amazing just to be loud, okay? So when people say, Rob, why are you always so loud? I just say, because that's how God really wants us to be, all right? For those of you that are quiet or you just sing really great, that's not in Scripture, all right? God wants us to be loud. I made that part up, all right? Yes, it's great to be able to sing beautiful. But for those of you that can't, and you're just like, I can't sing like this, but I can yell these words out, all right? You can shout joyfully, and that's how I worship, all right? I shout joyfully to the Lord. And when he says, shout joyfully to the rock of our salvation. And I love that part because when we worship, and this is key for you guys to remember, especially young, for any of us. During worship, who are we shouting to? You can read the verse. It's a cheat sheet right in front of you, all right? Who are you shouting to? The rock, right? It's like you're singing to God. So when we do worship, yes, Colin might be up here. Ethan might be up here. Jay might be up here. Andrew might be up here. Haley might be up here. Whoever's up here doing worship with us, we are not shouting to Andrew. All right? Does that make sense? We are not shouting to Ethan. We're not singing to them. They might be leading us in worship, but I am singing to God. And so I love that where it's like, let us come to him with thanksgiving. Let us come to him with thanksgiving. Let us sing these songs of praise to him. Let us come to him with thanksgiving. And so when we have time of worship, it is a time for believers just to sing to God, to say, this is a God that is worthy of my praise. Or maybe it's a song that's like reflective of like, man, it's been a tough week. And this song really shares my heart on how I'm feeling with God right now. But we are singing to God. And so, going back to Marin and Cece, all right, because it's training camp. That's what we're doing here right now. We wouldn't normally do this during Exodus. But if Marin brings Cece, because she's never been to church before, and worship's taking place, or we are doing a lesson, because we do believe that God's word is meaningful to all of our lives right now, and we're talking about something, and maybe during worship, everybody's standing up. You guys don't have to stand up, but just you two will stand up. So we're standing up to worship. But if Marin is not shouting joyfully to the Lord, and instead Marin's messing with her friend Cece over here, you just, do like what you see a lot of boys and stuff do. And I kick the chair in front of me. I turn around and I start talking to the people that are 2 rows. And you think I'm making this up, but we do this, and some of you in this room are guilty of doing this. When we start doing that again, what does that tell Cece about God? Huh? Nothing, yeah? It shows like, oh, this is a pointless time. Oh, everybody else is singing, but my friend Marin here, who might be the only Christian I know, doesn't care about this at all. So why are we doing this? If we are doing this, we are not, you can sit down now. We are not singing and shouting joyfully to God. Now we're just being a distraction to other people. You guys, why am I sharing this with you guys again? Because you're like, that seems so simple. Like, duh, who does that? We do. This happens every week, right? Quentin? Right, Quentin? Yeah, all right. It happens all the time where we are worshiping, and I don't care if a visitor, if Cece's the one messing around, I don't think anything of it, right? But I'm just sticking with the whole preseason training camp thing. If I'm a coach and I see my top players messing around, who gets chewed out? Who do you get more upset at? Your top people. Your people that know better. You guys right here who are hearing that. It breaks my heart when I see during worship time students that are here week after week after week that finally brought a friend. They've been praying for that friend, and that friend's there. And instead of like, hey, you don't have to sing this song, but it's just good music, and we're just singing to God. But instead, hey, let's do this. Let's pull out our phone and start messing with each other. I mean, when we're doing that, we completely erase that. And so I just want, guys, you are going to hear lessons too. And let's talk about this. For you older students, there might not be a whole lot of new stuff that we pull out at Exodus that you have not heard before. Doesn't mean you're applying it, but maybe you're like, oh, I've already heard this lesson before. But when you bring friends to church, they've never heard that stuff before. And that's going to be huge for them. So that is why we do what we do at Exodus. That's why we try to find themes and topics. That's part of that student leadership team time of like, hey, I'm looking at talking about this. What do you think? Like, how does this apply to a teenager's life? I mean, that's where they help me go, well, let's lean more towards that. Hey, my friends are really struggling with this. And so we are talking about topics and things that you and your friends are dealing with. And so that time is really important for if you have reached out, you finally invited a friend, that should be the time where you're like, I hope my friend's catching this. You should not be the one distracting your friend from catching it. Does that make sense? Yeah? I used to do the chaplain for Blue Springs South football team for years. And I would stand along the sideline. I would go out there a lot, just talk to the guys. But there were certain times during the time where the coach would be talking. And I did it for years. And if there was 2 freshmen or 2 sophomores out and a senior, and they heard some talking, coach he never called those guys out. He said, always called the senior. And he's like, well, they were talking too. And he said, but guess what? If you weren't talking, those 2 wouldn't be talking because they'd be paying attention out here. And that's kind of why we're talking about this here right now. If you guys are following along, leading out, your friends are going to see the value of that. And it's so important to understand that. So I'm going to let the worship team come on up. We're going to do a few worship songs here tonight. And then I'm going to talk about something really brief at the end. And then we'll kind of get out a little bit early today. So we're going to have a good time this evening. So guys, this is the time. Marin, is going to be messing with her friend she brought invited. But maybe Marin's like, you know what, Cece, she needs to hear this. I'm not going to mess with her. So this is the time we're gonna put that into practice, all right? Let's put the play into practice. Let's stand up. Let's shout. Hey, clap, sing. Sing with a joyful heart. That is what worship's about. So let's do that all together right now, everybody.
All right. Let's sing to the way, the truth, and the life. Our Jesus, let's put our focus on Him, just like Rob said. Oh, we look to the sun, set our eyes on our Savior, see the image of love, sing His praises forever. Dead of night, see the kingdom burst into color at the speed of light. Freedom shaking up the atmosphere as the shadows fade into nothing as the day appears. Beyond the skies love reaching out for us, the everlasting one, Jesus our God. Oh, we look to the sun, set our eyes on the Savior, see the image of love, sing His praises forever. Oh, we look to the sun. Kingdom come. See the hope of heaven shining like the rising sun. Now forever lifted up from death to life. There's no fear in love and no darkness in His endless life. Beyond the skies above, now for us, the everlasting one, Jesus our God. Beyond the skies above, the preacher now for us, the everlasting one, Jesus our God. Oh, we look to the sun. Let's put those hands together. Oh, we look to the sun. Yeah. Oh, we look to the sun. Set our eyes on the Savior, yeah. See the image of His love. Sing His praises forever. Oh, we look to the sun. Oh, we look to the sun. All right, let's hear those shouts of praise. Let me hear you. Hey. Good. There's a lot going on with school coming up. You guys might have a lot of fears. The unknown, who's going to be in your class. If you're going to be able to make it through whatever AP class. I never took any of those. Tim, who's taking AP classes? Anybody? Anybody? Scared? Yep, not me. All right, good. You're all like me. PE and Spanish because you like the food class. That was me. There you go. But there's, with school starting, there can be a lot of fears, and we can trust that no matter what we're going to be up against, whatever we step into, even if it's inviting friends to Exodus, Lord, we can trust in our Lord because He's with us, because His love is with us. He says He will never leave us or forsake us. He's going to go before us, and we can do incredible things through Him. When darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when brokenness and pain are all I know, I won't be shaken, I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your
Hey, take a seat, take a seat. Hey, that's the stuff you guys got to wake up and get alive coming up, all right? You got to start feeling it. That's one thing I hope for this group is that we start getting just a little bit more energetic, all right? Hey, Ethan, Colin, I see you guys up here rocking out, man. They're starting to get the hang of it, starting to move around. Guys, I want you to be comfortable just worshiping and cheering and clapping and kind of sometimes because we have grown out of the habit of doing this and we've only been doing worship on Sunday mornings, and let's be honest, like sometimes you've been up for like a half hour before you roll into church here. But on Wednesday nights, man, when we come in, I want that worship time to just be banging, man. I've been kind of teasing them about it, like, hey, when y'all get up there and play guitar or bass, like, look alive, start moving around up there. Like, I want to see some energy, and I want that from you guys too. Clapping, I mean, get on your chair, whatever you got to do. Like, let's start feeling it around here, guys. You got 14, unless you're Jackson and you're counting that 15th day, but 14 days, because that's when my note is, to our first Exodus XL. All right, 14 days, that is September. It might be September 1st, September 2nd, whatever. It's one of those. First Wednesday in each month. I want you guys to understand that we are officially starting all of this Wednesday night stuff back up. For 6th and 7th graders, you've never had a normal Wednesday night here at First, all right? For 8th graders, I mean, think about this, high school. Our entire middle school, only one class, just the 8th graders, have ever had Exodus, and they only had it for one semester. Other than that, you guys, none of our middle schoolers have had a normal Exodus on Wednesday nights. And so we got to get back in that habit, all right? So what we are going to do is we are going to continue our Exodus XLs the first Wednesday of each night or of each month. And then the following Wednesdays, we'll all continue on that series. So that first Exodus XL will always be a brand new series. And then that way, Marin, you invite Cece, because Cece doesn't know Jesus, all right? Cece knows Jesus. But for this example, she doesn't know Jesus. She invites her saying, hey, September, I forget what we're actually calling it. I think it's just called the Mount. Because we're going to be looking at some of the stuff from the Sermon on the Mount and how that like really applies to our life. And so for that first Wednesday, we're going to have, it'll be a big Exodus XL. Weather permitting and everything, I'm trying to get a hold of one of those giant rock wall things that you can rent where like 4 people can race up it at a time. Those huge things, have that out there, have food, have our Exodus stuff, have bigger prizes. Exodus XL is always just an extra large Exodus, and it'll always have something special to it. So she invites Cece. Cece's like, I don't know, church people are weird, kinda, but she's like, yeah, but it's not going to be that crazy. Like, I mean, it's going to be fun, and it's just going to be a really short teaching time. Just come check it out with me. So she's like, okay, I'll come. Cece has a good time because it was kind of like a shorter version of the church part, but bigger version of like the fun and craziness. And she's like, hey, that was really good. That youth pastor you have just brought it, though. Like, it really hit me in a different way, and that was awesome, and like, I want to know more. And so now Marin can say, hey, come with me next week because we're going to keep talking about some of that same stuff. And maybe now Cece says, okay. And then 3 weeks later, Cece accepts Jesus and she's leading the way. Maybe 1 week later, who knows? Now, boys, you're exactly doing what we just talked about, right? Yeah? All right, so follow along. Now, here's the deal. The third biggest part about Exodus, all right? So it needs to be a place that we feel welcomed, that you have fun, that your friends step in here and they're like, this is not what I thought church was going to be like. But man, I felt at ease there. Like, I felt welcomed. I had a good time. It was awesome. That second thing is all about like, hey, part of Exodus is just about worshiping and about, trying to learn a little something or sharing a word that maybe your friends are going to catch. But the third thing, and this is key, all right? The third thing, is Exodus is for others. Exodus is for other people. Exodus has to and will always be about bringing other people along with us on that journey, okay? We called it Exodus a long time ago Because we started out, when I first got here years ago, we started out with about 25 teenagers. And that's how big our youth ministry was at the time. And so we said we're going to do Exodus. And what Exodus means is it's a gathering of people moving from one place to a new place that God has for them. And that is what we're about on Wednesday nights. We are about a group of teenagers starting out where God has you, but moving to a new place that God has designed for you. Something new for you. And we are going to do this together. But along the way, we're bringing other people with us. And that's what it's really all about. And so years ago, when I first started kind of getting into church in high school, something happened that always stuck with me. And I'm going to share this with you because it was life-changing for me. It was a little traumatic, honestly, because I didn't know what was going on. I just started going to this church that had a pretty, their church went from 75 kids to about 200, a little over 200 plus kids in the matter of a year. So over doubled what they normally were. And they were getting to 200, 250 on Wednesday nights. And so the youth pastor at the time, I had been coming there for maybe a month at the most. All right? I didn't know anybody, brand new church. And so I've been going there for about a month. And so on a Sunday morning, he hands a survey out to every student that comes in. And the survey said, let me make sure I read this right. Survey asked, how many more people do you want to see here throughout this year? How many more teenagers, how many more students do you want to see joining us on Wednesday nights throughout this year? Because remember, this went from kind of a okay-sized youth group to double, almost triple in size really fast. And so on that survey, it said maybe just a few, but I don't want it feeling too big. I don't want to see too many new faces. It gets now I don't know everybody, and it can be kind of weird. And we can all we've all felt that, when you're I don't know hardly anybody anymore. Look at all these visitors. I don't know these faces. And so that was one of them. The other one said 10 to 20. So you kind of circle it, 10 to 20, just not too many. And the other one said as many as we can fit into our area. And so you filled that out at the beginning, and you handed it in. And then when the youth pastor got up on that Sunday morning, he said, hey, thank you for filling those things out, guys. This really helps us see what this school year is going to be like. And he said, I had some of our leaders tally it up during worship, and here's what we got. He said, the majority of you checked the box, maybe just a few so that we don't get too big. And they were oh, yeah, that's what I checked. I mean, people are kind of talking yeah, we don't want it to be oh, there's so many new faces, and it gets weird because it's then it's not our church anymore. It's all these other people, or, there's lots of visitors, and, they're not even really paying attention, and all these people are kind of chattering. And he says, hey, I hear you. And this is where it was really traumatic because I'm brand new at this church, right? I went from a church of 9 teenagers to, there was probably 150 here on this Sunday morning. And then their Wednesday nights, I was blown away. I was there's so many people here. So I sat in the back every Wednesday night, way back. Yeah, man, just like Ethan. But I sat as far back as you can. So I'm pretty new here, and I'm I don't really want to get too many more people either. This is way too many for me, but whatever. And so he says, the majority of you guys did this. This means, and then he's this means that our student ministry only wants half the gospel to be done. This means that what you guys are telling me is you just want to keep learning about Christ, but you don't want to share it with other people, which is half of what Jesus did for us. And then this is where it was traumatic because I'm oh, y'all are in trouble. I'm kind of looking around he's getting kind of fired up. And he says, I'm not joking. I have failed all of you, and I'm also so disappointed because that's your heart for other people. Puts the mic down, and he walks off. He doesn't come back that Sunday morning. He does, we're all kind of sitting there was this a skit? What's happening? So he's coming back, right? Everybody sits there. What is only the most uncomfortable 5 minutes in student ministry history. We're all just sitting there, and finally a leader comes up on stage and goes, picks up the mic. I guess everybody just go to small groups. And we're and so we all just get up and go to our small group, and our small group leaders were so what'd you guys vote for? And like no one wanted to talk about it. And I was just like, I'm brand new. I don't know anything. Like I just wanted to like make sure we're all clear. He's not talking to me. But man, that really made an impact in my mind from that day on, like that my freshman year, when he said, you only want half the gospel to be used in. You only want what half of Jesus was offering. Because Jesus didn't just go just to the temple and preach, right? Jesus went to the woman at the well who was living in sin. Jesus went to the lepers who no one else was going to and was inviting them to be a part of what God was doing. Jesus was going to tax collectors and saying, come follow me. He was going to fishermen. He went to the temple to teach. But then he was also saying, now we are going to go and we're going to share this with other people. So students, if we don't understand what Exodus is about, then we are only sharing half of what Jesus did. We are only sharing half of what the gospel was all about. And so Wednesday nights has to be a part of you just thinking, who am I praying for? Who am I even thinking about? Now, does that mean every single person you invite is going to come to church? No. But if you invite 10, you think one of them's going to come? Yeah. Do I think that's always easy? No, it's not. I get it. I understand that. I still to this day have that. I can picture where after practice got out, where I would kind of stand and talk to some of the other guys and just be like having that nervous, anxious feeling of like, I know I should invite them to church. Oh man, but what if one of them's going to say something? And just having this weird feeling because I would like build up like, all right, I got to invite somebody to church. I want this person to know who it is. And just kind of like, hey, you want to go to church, man? You're like, what? Church? That way you want to let's go to church? Like it was so weird. But when they were like, yeah, cool, where is it? And I would tell them, they're like, oh, I think there's a few people I know go there. And you're like, and all of a sudden it was all relieved. And when you went and they're like, man, that was cool. Like that's all some of my friends would give a feedback. Okay, that was pretty cool. It was worth it. It was always worth it. And I'm encouraging you guys and saying, hey, that's what we have to be about. If we start out with the same amount and we end with the same amount of people at Exodus, we are not doing what it was made to be, all right? That is the same as when you get a car and all you do is sit in it and you never drive it. You're like, oh, I love this car. This car is great. It's so much fun. What do you do with it? Man, I just sit right here, turn on the radio. I'm going to sing to this song. And your dad and mom are like, are you going to drive? Go get a job. Get out of here. We gave you a car. You work for a car. What are you doing? And you're like, no, I just want to sit in it. We don't want anybody just coming and sitting at Exodus. We want you a part of it. I want you all to be here. It's for you, but it's also for others, guys. And so you have 4 days. I'm going to give you 4 days to be selfish, okay? I'm going to give you 4 days where you don't have to worry about anybody else. But in 4 days from now, when you walk into your school, in 4 days when you start seeing your friends and seeing other people, I want in 4 days for you to start thinking, who am I going to start praying for? Who am I going to pray for the opportunity to invite to the first Exodus XL in 14 days? Who am I going to invite? Who can I start praying for now? Because Exodus is for other people. And I want this friend to come. Because if not, we're just doing half the gospel. We're just doing half of what Jesus was about. And so, you got 4 days, all right? I'll give you tomorrow. I'll give you Saturday and Sunday. Where you don't, you should worry about your friends. Do what? I'll give you half of Friday. Negotiate. I'll give you Friday. But when you step foot in that school on Monday, you need to be thinking, that's the friend I'm praying for. And when that tornado alarm goes off on that first Wednesday of September and you hear that, I don't know what does it sound like? Yes. That was good. That was good, man. I was about to climb under my desk. Did they still do that for your drills? Do you remember? In elementary school, we climb under our desk, and I'm like, this is not going to stop a tornado. So as soon as, Ethan, do it again. Fire up the tornado alarm. All right. As that's happening, if you have not invited anybody yet, you hear that, you should just go to church with me. That's all they should be thinking. You hear a tornado alarm, you hear that tornado alarm, and you should just be thinking, hey, you got to go to church with me tonight. Why? Because the tornado alarms are going off every time. Every time a tornado alarm goes off. I don't care when it is. If it's a real tornado, your friends really need Jesus. All right? So get ready. Get ready. Now, hey, all seriousness, guys, that should be what you're thinking. Exodus XL, that's when I'm inviting a friend. I'm praying for it. It's not always easy, and I'm not saying it is, all right? If Tanner, I'm picking on Tanner. If Tanner chooses to invite someone from his soccer team, I know that's not easy. And that's why we really try. I mean, Andrew and I and our leaders and our student leaders, we really try to make sure this is a place that's going to be fun. Because if I know he goes out on a limb, he's risking what people think of him, what they might say about you, what they might think about who Jesus is in today's culture. If you go through that, I promise you I'm doing everything, and Andrew's doing everything, this church is doing everything, Jay's doing everything, our leaders are doing everything, our student leaders are doing everything to make sure that Tanner's friend comes and says, man, that was cool. I think I want to come back. We are trying. And so I want you guys to have that heart of saying, Monday, I'm praying for that friend because now I got 14 days to pray. And when that alarm goes off, now we're all going to be thinking about Ethan, and we're going to think about who should I invite to church today. Now, ideally, invite someone before then. But if not, that's your sound alarm, okay? So, hey, students, it's about creating a great environment and having fun here, being open. It's about worshiping and learning, and it's about reaching out to other people because that's what Jesus was about. It's that simple. Exodus is not just to come sit and do nothing. It's about being a part of something, moving somewhere bigger, moving somewhere bolder, and bringing people along with you. We have to be about that because that is what Jesus was about, okay? So let's, I want to encourage you, when you go on Sunday morning, tell your small group, hey, y'all need to get to Wednesday night because next Wednesday, you're just hearing from our upperclassmen and from some of our seniors and saying, hey, this is what God's been teaching me, and this is what we want to see take place over this next school year. And so I want them to share because sometimes you hear this from me a lot, and you think, yeah, Rob has to say that because he's a pastor. I want them to be able to share from their hearts and for you guys to kind of catch some of that. So be here next Wednesday, all right? Get some people from Sunday morning to join you. It's not necessarily like a thing where you're going to bring your friends to because we're going to finish just casting vision for student ministry. All right, so let's pray. God, Lord, I thank you. I thank you for these students. God, as much as we joke about it, I do pray that every time that tornado alarm goes off, that is automatically what we think about. Have I invited a friend yet? If not, who can I invite? God, who are we praying for? It really comes down to a matter of, do we care about our friends knowing you? Do we care about being here consistently because we want to grow in our relationship with you? God, can we open up our hearts? Can we just make, Lord, I pray that the core on Wednesday nights, God, Lord, I just pray that this just hopping, that people are clapping, that they're just loving it, singing, praising, learning, God, and sharing with other people. So we pray for big things coming up this semester. God, not to be a bigger student ministry, but to be about a full gospel, to be about everything you were about, God. That's what we want to see happen here. Amen. You guys are awesome. Do me a favor real quick, because I need to clean these floors, because I realized moving chairs today, they're a little dirty. So if you can take your chair and just stack it in the back over there or in the back over there, that would be awesome. Guys, we love you all. Have a great weekend.